Hey everyone, Thursday evening. I got Billy behind me. We're ready for a good scolding tonight, which is always fun. I have one of my favorite guests. I don't know why, because she always makes fun of me and um, scolds me for my actions, but she's always fun. We've got the sober nutritionist, Teri, with us tonight. I have a whole new set of questions that I've been collecting through the week that we're going to pick her brain with. But it's been a great Thursday. Hope everyone's having a good week. I've got a lot of friends, including Teri. I'll let her tell you, but she's running from the fires in Northern California as well. So, but some of the regulars on this show, Peggy and Julie and some of that group, have been evacuated from their homes. So we got to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And crazy weather going out there. Cincinnati's its usual hot, muggy, but we are getting plenty of rain, so it's been good. I do have my youngest son came in to visit for he's in a wedding with his friend this weekend, so I got to see him, which is going to be a good time. So it's life is good these days. I'm going to bring Teri in and just we'll bring her in. Some of you remember, but this is Teri from whereabout are you in California, Teri? Grass Valley area?
Yeah, I live in Grass Valley in Northern California.
How close are you? Last year when I was out, the skies, there was ash everywhere and the skies were orange. How are you doing right now where you are?
We actually had an evacuation warning yesterday, and we have a special needs grandson that lives with us and a dog. And so we decided to just leave early and be safe. So I haven't seen the skies up in Nevada County today. My understanding is that they're working, overtime to get some containment going. Things are looking favorable. They were a little bit concerned about afternoon winds, so we just kind of have to wait and see. We live in a forested area. We have a lot of trees and lots of power lines that tend to come down and create havoc when these things happen. So, it's just, it's kind of touch and go, and it's been really dry. Of course, we're in a drought in Northern California. So there's been just a lot of concern, and it's starting early this year. So we're just prepared for anything. But at this point, we are safe, and I don't believe our home is threatened. So that's the good news.
So you water the plants and then water the roof at the same time.
Yeah.
That's kind of how with the sparks. Crazy. Well, I am so glad you're here. I don't know why, because the last time you were here, you yelled at me and said very hurtful things. I think since we talked last, I've completely, not quite, we've made improvements, but still have to have some enjoyment in my life. But I have added, I'm doing the one-a-days. I stopped on you told me that more than one of the one-a-days was not good. I was doing the 4 because if one is good, 4 must be a whole lot better. Posturing, and I thought that was going to work, but you told me not, so I did that. The other one that I wanted to get you before we get into the real good stuff, when I was drinking, even though I would pass out, I had lousy sleeps. So I was doing that Simply Sleep, which is over the counter, but it's still a prescription strength. Well, I fight right now with restless leg syndrome. I always my mom had it, her mom had it, and it's such a fun thing. But melatonin. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so melatonin is a very popular over-the-counter sleep aid. However, we have to understand it's a hormone. And, our hormones, when we mess with our hormones, everything's interconnected. So, what we're basically doing is we're saying, okay, the natural hormone of melatonin, we're going to replace you with something else. So you can kind of go offline. So the danger there, or the caveat, the warning, is really just thinking about, do we want to mess with our hormones? Or do we want to do some other things that can help us increase our own individual melatonin and use that approach to get better sleep? And there's tons of research and tips and tricks about sleep hygiene. And really, our melatonin is dependent on natural circadian rhythm. So the best thing we can do is just really pay attention to, are we living by the clock and the amount of light in the day? I went camping a couple weeks ago, and I will tell you that is the best sleep ever, because you are really falling asleep. You're doing the natural part of no more light pollution when the sun goes down. You gradually go into this place where your body is creating more melatonin. So, we really want to honor our natural body as the first line of defense. And melatonin, often what happens is people are just taking too much of it. And that can be an issue as well.
Okay, I'm 0 for 1, getting the ball started. We're off and running.
That's right.
No, you know what? It's sleep was obviously for 30 years I knew how to pass out. I had no idea how to sleep, and when I first and the anxieties that I felt, it took a while for me to settle down. I think for me, the primary I'm falling asleep a lot quicker even without this. But for me, and this is unique, I guess, but the restless leg syndrome is brutal. How that works, and I do take a prescription called ropinirole. I'm sure I'm butchering but that is probably the most widely prescribed for. And when it works, I sleep. When it doesn't work, I'm up. There's when restless leg wins, sleep is done. It's crazy. It's horrible. But anyways, so how's everything else going? Tell everyone what you are doing. I know you're the Sober Nutritionist. We got some of your links running across the bottom. You've got a lot of great programs on our new website, gettingback20.com. Getting BAC, the number 2, and then spell out 0, gettingback20.com. If you go into the Nutrition Center, it just dumps into Teri's site, and we've got some great books you've recommended for all sorts of different things, some programs by yourself, some from others, but a whole slew of great information. But what is your daily? I know you're doing a lot of counseling. What's your routine now?
Yeah, well, I am a functional nutritionist, so I do have a nutrition arm of my business. And one of my favorite programs is I teach a very simple, basic, but powerful 5-week program called Restart. And that's really about helping people kind of take a look at their diet from the inside out, experiment with making some positive changes, and then figure out what is the best way to keep eating to maintain overall health for the rest of their life. So that's a really fun program that I teach. And then I'm also a certified life coach through This Naked Mind. And This Naked Mind is a sober movement that was started by a woman named Annie Grace with a book, and there's community aspects. And I coach in a lot of their large groups. So I coach in the 30-day alcohol experiment, and I coach in their membership program called The Path. So I do a lot of sober coaching, and then I do a lot of blended sober and nutrition coaching with my one-on-one clients. So often what people will do is they'll either move beyond alcohol and then start to take a look at the rest of their life and say, wow, I've kind of let my nutrition and my health slip. And I'm facing some challenges now that I want to get some help with. So I love to come alongside people and help there. And then also helping people as they're letting go of alcohol and changing their relationship. What can we do? How can we support our body through nutrition as we make these changes?
Is a program, if I'm wanting to get healthy, is the program different for me versus I'm new to sobriety and wanting to get healthy? Are there two different approaches versus if my wife, who is not alcoholic, wanted to, would you do the two of us as different approaches?
Yeah, I really, advise my clients and just kind of in general to think about, facing the main thing first. And so for me, this is my own journey. And so this is why I feel so passionate about it. But when we are still trying to change our relationship with alcohol and make a difference and let go of alcohol, it's kind of like that big domino. And so when that is taking up our mental, emotional, physical space, And we also say, well, gosh, it's going to make sense to also change my diet and go to the gym and, make all these other healthy changes. Sometimes then we take the focus off what really is kind of the main thing. So I always like to, just kind of have a conversation about, is this what you really want to be focusing on now? Or how about when you let go of alcohol, moving into a place of focusing on your health, so that you are giving the energy to your nutrition journey at the right time, and when you have some other tools already in place. One of the things that I think happens when we are over drinking, we stop kind of trusting ourselves, and our intuition sort of turns off. And so when we can move away from alcohol and feel that we're on solid ground there, then we get excited and we feel powerful and we feel invincible. That's the time to take on your nutrition journey.
The programs, I guess what I'm looking for in new and recovery is if I'll eat this kale if it will help with my cravings. If you say it'll help improve your blah, 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 iron deficiency, da, da, da. I don't care about that. Now, that's just Jeff talk and my priorities, but we're working on those things. But I really am excited if there's something that making nutritional changes can affect my recovery. And again, not just the blood count, the white blood, whatever it is. I'm talking about how getting through my cravings. If eating some kale will help me get through Friday night a little bit, then I'm all for it. So I'm always curious about the two different benefits. I can understand how the nutritional side works for our bodies, but how does the recovery fit into with nutrition?
Yes, so that's a great question. So, my approach is really, let's take out first the things that are causing the most harm. So when we remove alcohol, which when we ingest alcohol becomes a highly toxic product in our body, and we have to process that. We have to metabolize it. And it also affects every other system in our body. So the first line of, kind of up leveling is to take out that alcohol. And as we're doing that, the other thing to really focus on is, okay, now our body is kind of in recovery mode. We are getting back to balance, back into homeostasis. So now we really want to focus on what can we subtract and add that's going to support the body doing the natural work that the body does. So that looks like removing processed food. So our body isn't also now processing another toxin, maybe chemicals and dyes that our body doesn't recognize as food. So then we want to look at, well, what do we add that helps? So we want to add, fiber so that our gut starts to get back online. We want to add things that are going to help our gut and our microbiome so that those neurotransmitters start working again. The things that have kind of been turned off. We get a lot of inflammation from drinking alcohol. And so we want to look at foods that are anti-inflammatory. And that can look a little different from everyone. But we know that foods that are laden with chemicals and seed oils and other things that the body doesn't process well can cause that inflammation. And then we want to look at adding extra hydration. We want to look at adding some quality sea salt or Himalayan salt because we want to start building back up those trace minerals. So, the road, the simultaneous road with nutrition and recovery, I really think is we want to focus on doing the natural things to help our body be able to focus on the benefits of recovery.
What for someone that, and as you know, my diet consisted of raisinets. I still, I do fancy a raisinette now and then. But for someone that like me that ate like crap while drinking, I can understand that, but there are people that ate very well, maybe even exercise, whatever, but drank a ton of wine. I hear that from a lot of people on this show that are guests that are, well, I'm going to say it. It's a lot of it's women that take very good care of their bodies with what they're taking in, other than then they add all this wine on top of it. So what is the damage because they're getting the nutrition? What is the negatives? What's the wine doing? Is that robbing the good stuff or what?
Yeah, actually, it's really interesting. What happens when we are drinking on a regular basis is that our body is not able to absorb the nutrients that we're taking in. So it doesn't matter if you're eating a clean, nutrient-dense, whole food diet if your body isn't able to absorb the food that you're taking in and break down into nutrients. So because alcohol affects how we metabolize food, slows down our metabolism. So we do more fat storage because it affects our hormones, like the hormones of our hunger hormones. So we have leptin and ghrelin that are our satiety and hunger hormones. So all of these things come into play when we're drinking. So, the adage that we are what we eat really should be we are what we absorb. And inflammation also affects what we can absorb and utilize and how quickly our body breaks down the food and then is able to use it as nutrients versus passing through the bloodstream and becoming like a foreign object that attacks our immune system versus just running through our system without being absorbed. I mean, all of these things are affected by alcohol. So, it's really interesting when people, and this happened to me too. I mean, part of my journey was I was sort of this wellness enthusiast. I was kind of doing the hack my own life, but I was still drinking. And I would try to offset the drinking or not even think that the drinking was a problem. But a lot of people will try to offset the drinking by, doing the extra workout or eating really well. It doesn't work that way.
Well, for me, it was justification. If I worked out at the gym, then I was good to go. And so I know this is a really dumb question. I'm going to ask it, but you said that alcohol messes with our ability to absorb it. For an afternoon drinker, does that still hold true at breakfast? Because I don't have it's maybe for the bulk out of my system, or is it I'm just in an alcoholic state, so it's regardless of any time?
Yeah. So, the way that alcohol breaks down and metabolizes through your body, because it is so I want to refrain from saying that alcohol is a toxin because alcohol in itself is not a toxin until we ingest it and then we metabolize it. So it becomes a toxin when we are metabolizing it. So when that happens, it metabolizes really fastly because now your body has this highly toxic substance. It actually breaks down into acetaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen, similar to what's in cigarettes. And so your body is saying, danger, danger, poison, let's get rid of this really fast. And so while the alcohol does metabolize really fast, what happens is it prioritizes the metabolism of alcohol over food. So let's say some people eat more when they're drinking on a regular basis. Like they get the drunchies, the drunken munchies, and they eat all the crap. Some people don't drink at all. They get like drunkorexia where they're not eating. And so, it's not a matter of how, it is certainly comes into play how fast the alcohol is metabolizing. But what also is happening is that your body now has got this food, and what should they do? What should we do with it? We can't metabolize them because we have to metabolize the acetaldehyde or die. So let's do that first. And now we got to figure out blood sugar regulation. So let's prioritize that. So what are we doing with the food? We're basically shuttling it into the adipose tissue or the liver and muscles as excess sugar, and we're just storing it. And so if we get up and we drink again the next day, what has happened to those nutrients? They didn't make their way through our system and they didn't get uptaken by the bloodstream and nourish our body. So, we've got all of these down cascading effects from drinking.
If we could put a microphone in our systems and hear our body speak, it would really be interesting to hear what it would probably be saying about what we're dumping into it.
Yeah, I would probably say ouch a lot of the time because, in particular with alcohol, it has an entire chemical effect that affects our neurotransmitters and our brain, but it really does a number on the lining of our gut, which is why I used to always think when I ate a fancy meal and I had like the wine pairings with it that, the food or the meal was just too rich. But what's happened when I have those wonderful meals now without the alcohol, I don't get that gut dysbiosis. I don't get those tummy pains. I don't get the inflammation that I used to get. So I actually enjoy and digest my meal without the discomfort. I never knew it was the alcohol, but that's exactly what's going on.
You know, I think the damage, what we don't know is half the problem, because I didn't realize. In fact, I was talking to someone just recently about our enzyme numbers with the doctor, going to get blood work. And I don't know if it would have changed anything with me, but I remember when I got blood work done and he said, "Oh, your liver enzymes are fine." That was probably a huge mistake for me to hear. Look at you drinking water just to rub it in. You're not even thirsty. That was a statement you were sending towards me.
Just maybe.
Yeah. But when he said that my liver enzymes are fine, I took that as a green light. Hey, I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about it then. Everything's working great. And because I can't feel liver issues, fatty liver, whatever the symptoms are, I can't feel those. I don't know it. So I think I'm doing fine. But when he gave me that go ahead, it was just my body was probably saying, "Don't tell him that. You just cursed us by saying that."
Well, and I think there's a saying that, facts tell and stories sell. So it's hard to sell someone on, the gifts of sobriety by saying your liver enzymes, because if someone is truly caught up in, alcohol is an addictive substance. So someone is truly caught in that alcohol use disorder and addiction. It's not enough to know that they're harming their health. I mean, we can tell them, we could try to scare them into changing, but that often doesn't work. And I have coached and counseled many people who have actually had serious diagnosis, and all they do when they get that, they can't let go of drinking. And so then they're just beating themselves up. So now they're not only suffering physically, but they are on this shame, blame, emotional cycle. So if we could just give people the facts and they would make a change, then I could tell you what's really in that Diet Pepsi and you would be drinking water. But it doesn't work that way, right? So I think that getting a scary diagnosis can be a wake-up call, but I think there's more effective ways to change. And just know this, even if you don't have scary liver numbers, your liver's taking a hit by processing a toxin on a regular basis.
See, I could, I'm actually glad I'm all the way out on in the Ohio area and not close to you, so that you won't yell at me. But we joked earlier about, you said, why don't you just drink water? And that's the $1 million question. But when I wish I had good answers other than it's boring. I like the fizz. I like to me, Diet Pepsi's sweet. So regular Pepsi is too sweet, but I get a sweetness. I get a satisfaction there. When I'm really, if I've been exercising or it's hot out, yes, I love water then. But when I'm driving down the road, I've got such I think, hand to mouth, alcoholic obsession where I want to be doing something with my hands or whatever. Half the time that I'm drinking Diet Pepsi, I'm not thirsty. It's just something to do. And water's boring. I'll just be honest with you. So I've got to see, that's the look. That's the look. But
What's wrong with boring? What's wrong with boring?
I'm just being honest with you.
Some things in life can be boring.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. My wife says that all the time when we're talking. That boring is okay sometimes, but I struggle with that, and that's something that's just a hurdle I've got to get over. And then I
was going to say, it's much like the person that goes to the doctor and finds out they have fatty liver, or early signs of fatty liver developing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're able or willing to make a change. And so I could tell you that the neurotoxins that are present in the artificial sweetener that's in Diet Pepsi is messing with your brain, and you're getting older, Jeff, and you want to get Alzheimer's. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be enough to help you let go of that. So I think that, looking for different motivation, looking toward a positive reason to drink water as opposed to just a negative reason not to drink Pepsi can be really helpful.
Well, I push so much on talking to people, and just because I'm verbalizing my own thoughts, I push a plan. You want to quit drinking, don't hope that you're not going to drink tonight. Don't try to not drink tonight. Have a plan, a hour by hour, scheduled step by step ahead of time how you're going to do it. I preach that all the time. I don't apply that to my Diet Pepsi. And that's what I need to do is say, you know what, for tomorrow at 10 o'clock, you can have one. But in the up until then, have a plan step by step to do. I just don't do it. So it's probably a Jeff, practice what you preach. But I guess I'm so happy that I've quit drinking for a year and a half that I've got that. Well, you know what? This is okay. A little bit of a sin is okay because I've done so much good. But yeah, you're right. I need to put that down, because if I hope I drink less Diet Pepsi, when I get into the mini mart tomorrow morning and say, what did Teri want me to get? And I'm looking at water, Diet Pepsi, I don't have a chance at that point. Same thing with alcohol on a Friday night if I'm going to get, a non-alcoholic drink or alcohol, or to get alcohol or not, when I'm sitting in front of it going, well, what were they saying on that dumb show that I should just not drink? Well, that's gone. At that point, it's too late. But if I can have make the plan tonight before I'm at the mini mart tomorrow morning, looking at that stuff. Same thing with meals. I'm trying to do. Oh, I know. I was going to tell you. I bought one of those, the Ninja, the bullet, but it's the Ninja, because it was $10 more. I figured it must be a better one and a stronger one, so I spent the extra money for the Ninja. And I've just done. Go ahead. Let's just shred, Jeff. Let's let everyone see the real Teri. I do just milk, protein powder. I'll throw like a banana in or some blueberries. And even the other day I was bored. My wife had some instant oatmeal, maple oatmeal for the grandbabies, and I just dumped some of that in. And it's better than cold pizza, Teri. So
yes, I think that's awesome. I think, well, first of all, the fact that you brought something that you intend to use to make a healthy drink is awesome. That's the first place to start. So congratulations on that.
And then the other
can we clean it up a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was the other one I bought the other last week, an air popper, because I love popcorn when I'm driving around or whatever. Just scared the dog to death. But the air popper is, and all you got to do is melt like a stick and a half of butter. No, I'm just kidding. But it's.
Hey, butter is not the enemy. Healthy fats, grass-fed or organic butter is a great thing to put on your popcorn. You're talking to a nutritionist here. I am not afraid of fats. But I
take the kernel and dip it into the butter like it's a piece of lobster. No, but that's interesting to say, because you're right. And we don't know. We assume butter's bad. Eggs are bad, all those kind of things. But it's something I'm at least when I'm munching in the truck, it's better than the processed popcorn that comes, you get in the bags. So little steps, we're getting there. Well, I do have
I think we'll have to do an episode on healthy car snacks for Jeff.
It is. And I'm not, and this could go back to my drinking, as a factor in there, but I don't eat popcorn when I'm driving because I'm hungry. Now, some of it is a little bit as a philosophy. If I eat this stuff now, at lunch, I'm not going to be sitting at Burger King going, okay, do I want one Whopper or two? Because if I can preemptively fill up on healthier stuff, then I'm not going to be as craving for that. And same thing with the alcohol. I say, you do things ahead of time, be preactive. And I know it's proactive, but I like preactive versus reactive. That works. if I can do that ahead of time, then I don't have to rely on my tough it out, choices, which I always fail at. So part of the popcorn, it's something to do as I'm driving. Same thing with the Diet Pepsi, but there is a little bit. If I can fill up on that, I'm not going to fill up on, fried cheese at the Wendy's drive-thru. So mozzarella sticks. Well, I do have some questions. Enough.
Awesome.
Unless you want to pick on me some more.
No, I think I'm really proud of you for getting a blender and, thinking about how to make some healthier choices. That's the first step, is just awareness. Like, what's a small step forward I can do? Yep. And, we talked about this before we started recording, but when we try to do too much, we often enter into just throwing up our hands in overwhelm and saying, well, then I'm not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. And so
I burn out all the, I'm notorious for that. Every morning, this, and I just nail it hard. And after 2 weeks, I say, done, not, it ain't going to, and I quit. Yeah. And that's, So, I mean,
finding things that work for you, experimenting with things, finding things that are enjoyable. Those are all part of helping to make it an easy choice versus something that you're, go all in, and it's not a lifestyle choice. It's just a sort of a trial. So yeah, I think that, nutrition needs to be intuitive diet that works for you, that looks unique, that is exciting for you. I think food should be fun. It should not be restrictive. It should not be, I don't have people weigh and measure their food and count calories. That's not the way I work. I want you to figure out what makes you feel alive and energetic and helps you sleep and brings you the best value of, how you get through the day.
Another big problem with mine is convenience. I noticed today, just in an area where some customers, more fast food stuff going up, but we were out to dinner a couple of weeks ago in some nice restaurant, and the salad was fantastic. And I just thought, this is delicious. One, it didn't have olives in it, which I would have then, it would have gone back if I saw one, but it had everything else, and it was delicious. And I thought, this is as good as any other part of the meal. I could just eat this. And I thought, why am I not doing this every meal? It just makes me mad when I eat healthy and it's delicious.
Yeah,
and yet but maybe it's convenience. It's they don't have a drive-through that has healthy salads with,
How about you pack your lunch? They have things called coolers, and you can actually keep things cold.
You're right. And little things. These are things just. I've been with the smoker outside. I prefer chicken thighs versus breasts because they're a little. But I've been doing that ahead of time. I've been learning to saute mushrooms and stuff, and I've been doing some of those in containers and taking them. So I am getting better. Little things, and then I wash it down with a big Diet Pepsi. But I've got questions that people submitted.
Awesome.
That we got to get. That was the whole reason here. Oh, the number one though, even more. We can hit all these, but I've got a couple of friends right now that are going through, in the process or in the midst of breast cancer scares. Some are getting treatment. Some are. Very close friend just got the biopsy, waiting on news. I hear when I was talking about this, someone said that alcohol and breast cancer are tied together, or can be, or whatever. And then the other one is another guy, pancreatic cancer, and he was a drinker. So let's focus on the breast cancer and alcohol. What is the correlation?
Yeah, so there's a couple things going on there. First of all, I will say that in June of 2020, the American Cancer Society did finally revise some of their language around alcohol, which is really hopeful and helpful. Because prior to that, they were saying, kind of this moderation thing. As long as women are drinking no more than, one drink a day and men 2, then you're within guidelines. Well, they came out, and I actually wrote down the exact language, but not optimal for health in regards to cancer risk. So what they're saying basically is there's no amount of alcohol that is considered safe when it comes to increased cancer risk. So we know that there's 7 specific cancers that have a direct correlation to alcohol, but breast cancer would be the one that is the most problematic when it comes to, adding an increased risk. And what happens there is alcohol is estrogenic. So what it means is that it turns on those estrogen receptors. And so with women, that can create an imbalance in those hormones, which can lead to that increased risk. And it's not an insignificant small risk. If a woman is drinking more than 3 drinks a day, she can increase her risk of developing breast cancer by 15%. That's a 15%. That's a lot. That's a huge number when it comes to, increased risk. And so, it's something to be really cognizant of. And so we think that, and society, kind of backs up the fact that alcohol is sort of innocuous as long as you're drinking in moderation. And that really is not true. And particularly when we see this connection with women and breast cancer. So, one of the things I want to be cautious about is I don't say these things lightly, and I don't say them to scare people or to make people feel guilt and blame. The reality is that alcohol is an addictive substance that is passed out like lollipops. We really don't put a lot of boundaries around when people start drinking and how they drink. And so, it's not your fault if you ended up with breast cancer. And I really want to bring that point home because we will never know if that was the cause, but we do know that there is a significant possibility that you are increasing your chance. And there's lots of other factors when it comes to breast cancer, but it's something to be really mindful of because we don't talk about it. Doctors don't share this. They don't tell women, as I wish they did, that, hey, you're sitting in front of me, you have breasts, let's talk about this. Let's say if you drink alcohol on a regular basis, I want you to recognize there is a significant increased risk. It's just, it should just be part of the normal conversation. So there definitely is something to be aware of. And again, I don't want to make anybody feel like, oh my gosh, I caused this, because there's lots of different factors and everybody is a bio individual. But I just think when it comes in terms of having honest conversations about the health impacts of alcohol, this is a great place to start.
It's such an uphill battle though, because look at the commercials, look at the ads, look at the everything is the healthiest people are sitting around drinking. And what is wine? I love that line. What is wine? It's grapes. It comes from grapes. So obviously it's good for you. That was some big slob of some marketing executive, I'm guessing, that came up with that line that was a gold mine.
Well, I'll tell you the one that really, really just floors me, Jeff, is that there are huge breast cancer organizations like, I think, and I don't know if they do anymore, but the Susan G. Komen, which is like the largest research, funded program out there for breast cancer reduction, is, they've often had like slap their label on a bottle of wine to get people's attention because they know women are drinking. And so they're actually part of the issue, if you think about it, in terms of what is this convoluted message we're sending. And the other one that really is amazing to me is my own little town would try to entice women to come in for mammograms by offering wine.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, what the heck? What are we doing here? And the reality is that we need to do better, but we need much education around this. It's not that the hospital's trying to create customers. I think they have plenty. But what we're doing is we are not doing our due diligence when it comes in terms of actually asking, is there a health impact to drinking this that I need to be aware of?
Is breast cancer the top of the list as far as I guess most related to alcohol consumption?
I think it, because there is more cases of breast cancer, but I actually think colorectal cancer is the higher, or there's esophageal cancer that's specifically related. One of them is like 40% of the cases, and maybe it's esophageal cancer, come in alcohol related conditions. So
pancreatic was the one that, and I have no medical knowledge whatsoever, but that's the other one I hear quite a bit, that's a result, or that can be a higher result from alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, your pancreas is hugely involved in the function of blood sugar regulation. And when you're drinking alcohol, it makes a huge impact on blood sugar regulation, because if you're metabolizing food and not alcohol, then your blood sugar gets dysregulated on a regular basis. And I said metabolizing food. If you're metabolizing alcohol over food, then your blood sugar is kind of doing this up and down, and your pancreas has to get really involved, and to the point that your pancreas can get just completely worn out, right? And so we see all kinds of downward repercussions from that. And so having that extra burden of processing alcohol on a regular basis, it affects every organ in your body.
Yeah. Well, one other question I just had with back to your programs that you're offering. Do you, I guess, is someone that's looking to quit drinking, is there a program you offer with that, hey, if you're going to do that, let's do that with nutritional changes as well? Or do people, should they come to you when they have quit drinking and they're wanting to get their nutrition back? I'm just trying to get a better idea of what all you offer.
Yeah. So again, as we talked about in the top of the program, I don't like to have somebody try to focus on both at the same time. So I do have a nutrition arm of my business, and I have a alcohol-free arm of my business. Now, if somebody comes to me and they're looking to give up alcohol, we're absolutely going to take a look at diet and lifestyle to support their journey. And then the next step of really honing in on nutritional needs and fine tuning their diet and working on some of those other lifestyle things, stress, sleep, that comes as kind of phase 2.
Are things you hear about the DTs and all that? And obviously, if I will say it, if you're looking to quit, talk to your doctor. Don't, check there is stuff the doctor can help you with that'll make it a lot easier, which is a lot more enjoyable, let you focus on getting ready for the journey after, but also a lot safer. But that being said, nutritionally, are there things that you can help to ease cravings, to the shakes that people have as it's getting out of their system? Are there things that you will work with people to assist in those kind of early stages of, you always hear body cleansing and detoxing and all that kind of stuff. Is that part of what you offer?
Not when it comes in terms of a medical detox. No, I'm not a doctor. And so I don't want to, I don't play one on the internet. So I don't walk people through that part. However, statistically, when you look at the number of people that are medically addicted, it's a small percentage. So I always have my clients check in with their medical provider before we start working together. And some people do choose to, often what I help people do is they first start in the pause. So instead of just coming to me and saying, okay, we're going to work together.
Pause?
Yeah. So instead of coming and saying, let's work together, it's day one, we actually take a break from trying to put days together, and we focus on what's going on with your drinking. Like when is the biggest trigger for you? What is happening when this happens? What is your habit? What is your routine around drinking? Do you have alcohol in the house? And so we do the pause in order to sort of do mindful drinking and bring awareness and curiosity before we start to change the behavior. So we really have to bring some knowledge and emotion, and then we change the behavior. So people are often starting to work with me, and while in the pause, they will if we're doing the pause in a way that is supportive, they will gradually drink less. Because now they're maybe delaying, just like you said, I won't drink my Pepsi till 10 o'clock. Maybe they're delaying when they have their first drink. Maybe they're buying less alcohol to bring home, and therefore they're feeling like, oh, I have a little bit of control over this. And they start gradually drinking less. So the clients that I work with do not go through those really intense detox. However, when our body is resetting in this way, we're going to see those natural things that happen when we detoxify. We're going to see fatigue. We're going to see interrupted sleep. We're going to see purging in the sense of maybe your skin's going to break out. Maybe you're going to urinate a lot more. And so, just the simple things of like aiding our lymphatic system to do that natural detoxification. So that can look like exercising. It can look like getting in a sauna. It can look like, so that we sweat. It can look like a lymphatic massage. It's going to look like dry brushing. That's the next thing you get to look up, Jeff. What is dry brushing is actually taking a dry brush and stimulating your lymphatic system to detoxify. So it's a natural way to aid your body, because when we detoxify, we have to make sure that our body is in a place where we're releasing toxins, right? That's the point. We're releasing toxins that are stored in the liver and the adipose tissue. And when they come in, they're in our body and they're racing around now. We want to be able to eliminate them. We don't want them to just get trapped loose in the body and then we get really sick. So we have to kind of clean things up first before we would ever go through kind of that medical detoxification, at least from a nutritional standpoint. So when you hear people like, I'm doing a juice fast and I'm taking 27 supplements a day, I'm detoxing. Well, I don't do that with people unless I've been working with them for a long time, and I make sure those toxins have somewhere to go. So when we know the body is kind of purging that first line of alcohol and starting to detox, we take it slow and we do those natural things that help without burdening the body or putting too much on the system that we can't handle, and creating a state of overwhelm versus a state of support.
How important is exercise along with because my whole thing was sweat. You got to sweat it out. Mm-hmm. You go into the sauna to clear your pores. How important is exercise to your programs?
Yeah, well, here's the thing is that our lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. Like our heart has a pump, right? But our lymph system does not. So we have to stimulate our lymph to do the work of detoxification. Now, some of it happens naturally, but when we exercise to the point of a sweat, that is a way that we are aiding that lymphatic system to help purge some of those toxins. Hydration is another way that we do it. Certain foods help with that, so exercise definitely has a place. There's also that huge component of exercise, releasing endorphins, helping us reset our mind, change our emotional set point. That's a huge piece. For me, even though I'm a nutritionist, I really focus so much on behavior and habits and emotions and the science behind it, rather than just like, this is a prescription for you. We really have to dive into what's going on for each person individually.
I've been writing about this a lot recently because I'm still trying to come up with the perfect recipe for sobriety. But so much, where I tie in one of the steps with you is I look at the mental state of, I always try and think, when was I most likely to drink? When I. And if anyone saw, I did a piece with George Costanza from Seinfeld. He found that when he did everything opposite, his life, suddenly he got the girl, he got the job. When he just everything he'd done his whole life was wrong. So obviously to do the opposite. And I thought, what about, I went into the weekend, I didn't talk to someone else in recovery. I didn't exercise before. I didn't, all these things. What if I did the opposite? Well, one of them is the food thing. I guarantee you at 5:00 tomorrow night on a Friday, if I eat very good food all day long, let's just talk the nutrition side.
Mm-hmm.
When Friday comes, am I more likely to choose not to drink versus I ate crap all day long? And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not even, and it's more the mental thing that I'm feeling good about myself because I had a salad instead of the McWhaler with extra tartar sauce. I drank water instead of crap. I didn't eat chips. I had air, whatever it is. And I get to 5 o'clock, I'm a lot more likely to say, you know what, I'm on a roll. I'm not going to blow this versus I'm a piece of crap based on what I've eaten all day. So what does it matter if I buy beer? So there's a whole mental side of it as well as what you're actually doing for your body.
Yeah, and there are chemicals, and when we eat well and our microbiome has good bugs versus bad bugs, that's how we create that parasympathetic state of the rest and digest. That's how those neurotransmitters that make us feel good naturally get to our brain. So nutrition has a definite component to helping somebody actually feel better and not feel like I need alcohol to make me feel better. The other piece to think about is kind of what you're talking about brings to mind that HALT, that acronym. Am I hungry, angry, tired, lonely? And so when we have been depleted and we're not drinking enough water, we haven't maybe rested, we haven't connected with people, we're hungry, much more likely to grab a drink and then, I'll just grab, a hard cider and then it'll be easier to fix dinner. Well, if we had nourished our body along the way, maybe we'd stopped and had that 4 o'clock snack of healthy olives, Jeff, now that I know how much you like olives.
No.
There's different olives. There's not just one kind.
They're a vile, disgusting weed.
So that is a way that we can offset those kind of cravings that come up, at least from, kind of the physical part is paying attention to that. Now, the mental part is, are we drinking for unmet needs? Are we drinking because we're lonely? Are we drinking because we're bored? Are we drinking because we're stressed? And that is that, it's a whole package when we address why we're using alcohol in over drinking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think back to what you were saying about the, and this goes the preemptive or preactive versus reactive. For me, it's the grocery store shopping. When I am full, if I eat before I go grocery shopping, I don't grab the chips and the crap. I can make much better decisions. If I go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, every lousy thing somehow drops into that cart. So that's the same thing, putting yourself into that position. So when you're faced with, I've done my homework ahead of time, much better chance of making the right decision. What are the most common myths to that you see in? Because I know you laughed at some of mine when I said, well, one a day is good. Well, 4 must be 4 times better, and you laughed at me. But that's actually I don't understand why 4 isn't better than 1, but I believe you. But what are some of the common wine is better than beer? I don't know, whatever. But in recovery, the things that you see people trying that are a misnomer.
Yeah, well, I think that, one of the things that you saying wine is better than beer is that we do have even wellness professionals that I follow that I look up to still promote like, well, as long as you're doing, a low sugar alternative or you're doing an organic wine, and it's totally missing the fact that this is a toxin in your system. This is a poison. I mean, we used to use alcohol to anesthetize people until we realized it was too dangerous. So if you can't regulate it medically to put people to sleep and wake them up, why are we drinking it like there's no issue, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that the fact that you can make a better choice when it comes to alcohol, like drink tequila and soda versus a daiquiri, that is not true at all. That's not what it is. Alcohol is alcohol is alcohol. And I say that like I say sugar is sugar is sugar, because people will say that, I only eat honey, but I eat it in, huge amount. Well, the thing is your body has to process the honey the same way it has to process the high fructose corn syrup. Now, is there an additional toxin to the high fructose corn syrup? Yes. But our body still has to process all alcohol the same. All alcohol is still estrogenic. All alcohol still causes inflammation. So there are not better choices. So I think that's a huge one. And let's see, I was thinking of another one when you mentioned that in terms of people want to start taking a lot of supplements when they're first letting go of alcohol because they want to speed up the natural process, right? And so the issue there is that our livers take a big hit when we are processing alcohol on a regular basis. The liver does the primary work of detoxification. So it also does the breakdown of supplements. And so we have to take those supplements through a process that involves the liver. So if the liver is already overtaxed and you want to take a bunch of supplements, you might as well just throw your money out the window because it's not going to, most likely, I can't say never, but we need to get the liver healthy and to a place where it is processing and happy and, able to take a little bit of a break. The liver's responsible for over 500 different functions in the body. And we ask it to do the work of detoxification and blood sugar regulation like there's no other thing it helps, right? And so we want to pay attention to when is the right time to start supplementing. And we really have to go slow and we have to allow time. People come to me often and they've been drinking for decades. That was my story. And then they are like, I'm 30 days in. Okay, I'm done with that part. Now, how do I reset my whole body? And it's like, well, slow your roll just a little bit and pay attention to the fact that your body is this amazing complex chemistry lab and it's doing the work, but we have to take it slow and we have to honor the work the body is doing and not then overburden it with like supplements.
Do you give the people that enroll with you, do you give them the same look of disgust that you give me when you see me and when I bare my soul and open up and reach out and expose and the same look of pathetic, you sloth of a human being that you give me? So
never. I reserve that just for you, Jeff.
Thank you so much. I am your poster child for don't do this, do this.
I think that this journey is one of compassion. Everybody starts where they are. And that's the thing about, coming alongside someone when they're changing their nutrition, when they're changing their relationship with alcohol, have to meet them where they're at. And then we grow from there.
I heard that you wanted to bring back from the Highlight magazine that you wanted to bring back Goofus and Gallant and have me as Goofus. And do you remember Goofus and Gallant? That you would have a picture. Jeff eats 12 multivitamins a day. It's just Teri has a kale salad with da-da-da. Yeah, Goofus and Gallant was something. So probably the older people will get that reference. But that was the magazine that you always read while sitting in the dentist.
I do remember the magazine, but I guess I just did like the word searches or the puzzles.
Oh, those were except for the little kid that did it with a pencil or a pen and ruined it for the next person. He didn't just find him; he circled him and ruined it for me. But well, I guess I got a bunch of questions from people, but I'm more selfish on my own. Someone for me, I don't have time to prepare meals. I'm a lousy cook. There's no, the only stores around are fast food. What are I know it's like, well, life is tough. Tough it out and get it done, Jeff. I know that's what the answer is, but what are the other answers for someone like that, for something like that? Because it is.
That's a great question because that is like the number one barrier for people making changes is just that convenience. And so we have to figure out a way to make it more convenient. So whether that looks like, just simple things that you prepare ahead of time that are there for you. I have a friend who I went to nutrition school with her, and she teaches people how to do batch cooking, but she doesn't do the complicated, like make 17 lasagnas and freeze them. She cooks twice a week for her family of 4. And she'll roast on Sunday, she'll roast vegetables, and then she'll turn half of those vegetables, she'll put them in your ninja and turn them into soup. And so then you have either roasted vegetables or vegetable soup. You can choose when it comes time to eat. Then she'll roast some chicken, she'll roast some salmon. That's in the fridge. So you can just come and say, oh, I'm going to have, this piece of salmon and some vegetable soup. And so it doesn't have to take a lot, but we get into this mindset. We look at cookbooks and we're like, I got to buy 20 ingredients I don't have in my cabinet. I got to cook it and not even know if I like it. And it's complicated. Now I've created this entire mess. Just keep it simple. Grill some veggies and start there. So that you have something. Like you said, you're starting to roast some or grill some chicken and take it on the road. That can be really simple. Hard boil some eggs, throw in some, nitrate-free salami, have a hard-boiled egg and some salami while you're on the road. And, you can start really simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I'm here to tell you, you have a lot of convenience stores. How about those health food stores that have some prepared foods that you can buy? They're already chopped and you can just stir fry them, in 3 minutes. There's lots of options.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of those here in Cincinnati. I'm sure they're around. I know the vitamin stores and but yeah, I'm sure there's getting some of the prepackaged. I mean, yes, it's probably a little more expensive than what I would do if I did it myself, but to get some of those and just throw them in the fridge and be able to grab and go would be huge.
There's lots of options to start. And some of it is a mindset and some of it is having the right tools in place. Some of it is having, resources available. And, that's a huge part of nutrition is getting people to eat real food. And so that's why I'm not a fan of, those complicated diet plans that say everybody's going to eat tuna fish on Wednesdays for lunch, because maybe we don't want to eat tuna fish on Wednesdays for lunch. And then we throw the baby out with the bathwater and we toss the whole program. So we have to get back to eating whole food. And how do we do that? And there's some great options out there. So eventually, Jeff, we're going to be on this together and you're going to be like, okay, now I'm doing, I've got a crock pot and I've got an instant pot and I've got an air fryer and I'm packing my own lunch. Here's my 3 water bottles that I carry around that always have filtered water in them. I can't wait. You're on your way.
Filtered water. See, you're always pushing for one more. It's always you always throw those. I will tell you, just before we started here, I finished my 3rd yoga class, and I think I've got the balance. My balance is pretty good. It's that of a one-legged giraffe that has been drinking all day. It's all I can guess. She was watching and probably just saw my head go past the screen, like this, heading into the wall. But yeah, I started that. And that's something that for me, the flexibility and whatnot. But it goes back to when I go, and I know this is late, but I was teaching a class all day and got home and did the yoga. So I haven't eaten. But because I did the yoga and I just talked to you, I guarantee I will make I'll be looking for healthier choices upstairs, because I don't want to, I'm a little bit on a roll of what my day consisted of. I had a good day at work. I had a good night's sleep. I had did the yoga, got out of my comfort there. I talked with you and I got some motivation and knowledge and things to help me. And those are all parts of it. It's the road to recovery is such a great, but it's so many levels, but the levels are so much fun. It's the doors. Yeah, there's a lot, the nutrition, the mind, there's so many different things, but they're enjoyable things to, steps to take. I love it.
I like to say that the gift of sobriety keeps on giving. I think that we do get to level up our life and we get to start bringing those things in that we, maybe we were just settling before. And now we actually get to create the experience we want. And I think that, we have to look at nutrition like investing in our future, just like we did when we let go of alcohol. What is the trade-off? And do I want to feel good and be healthy and stay vibrant as I grow older. And now that we've let go of alcohol, we have like bonus years, right? So let's enjoy them with some tips on nutrition, some awareness around it, and some emotion that makes it a positive thing.
Well, I looked at sobriety when I started this journey. I was giving up. I was losing something. I was losing alcohol. And now I really see it's what I'm getting from sobriety. It's no longer, I have to give up. I have to no longer do this. I can't do this. I can't enjoy. I'm not going to. I saw it as a negative. And now I literally, it's I get to do this. I get to do. It is. It's and every day, part of, I always, you got to talk to each other. It's the key. But that is what it just makes this thing fun. I have literally never been happier in my life and more complete than I've been on this journey. And I have, I'm excited about, what you and I just talked about exploring what's next, what I can do for the meals and whatever, and what I can be versus my life before was just hoping I didn't become, where I was going. So, well, look, I had a bunch of questions. I've been talking to people all week, just trying to get in some good stuff, but this just means, what's the one word, the most common word in 90% of the questions that I received about nutrition and recovery? What's the one word that everyone brings up the most?
Sugar.
Thank you. So we haven't even touched on that because it's why the hell? And we went, oh God, see, I shouldn't even. Okay, I was for a friend wanted some ice cream last night, and I offered to go up and get it for a friend last night. And my friend's wife said to him that it's amazing that he actually was actually going up to the store to get ice cream, which is something he's never done in years, but the sweet tooth is there. And I never craved, now I haven't had a drink, but mine was beer. I haven't had a beer in almost a year and a half. And yet I definitely developed a sweet tooth, and the other day for lunch, I was telling, I had peanuts for lunch the other day, which is pretty good. And they said, well, that's great. Did you? And I said, well, of course they had nougat around them. And then what do you mean by, and then I finally admitted it was a payday, but it was still, it had peanuts in it. So that's good. Right.
By the way, a candy bar is not lunch. We need to have protein, carbohydrates, and fat with every meal.
Yeah. Well, the answer was boredom, rushed, convenience at a store. I was probably, either getting gas or something, saw it. And I felt, I'm not going to lie to you. That's one thing I will, Teri. I will not lie to you. That's why it's probably easy to pick me apart because I am.
Well, it doesn't work when my clients come to me if they're not honest about their what they maybe have been up to. It doesn't. We don't get very far together. So yeah. I'm a soft place to land. I don't give too many people the stink eye other than you, Jeff.
I wouldn't have it any other way. All right. Well, hang in there. Thanks everyone for being here. Great stuff. You got to come back because I haven't even gotten to a lot of the questions. There's some really good stuff here, but can't thank you enough. I've got all the stuff going across the bottom, but again, on the website, gettingback-to-zero.com, there's a whole nutrition section. I think we can find anything that you're looking for, all the contact, some great articles, some great stuff. And I know we're going to be getting some more up there as well. So check that out. But and then Saturday morning, we have Claire from Ireland, who is, if you haven't heard her, she is amazing. She's hysterical, but she's got so much wisdom about this recovery journey. And Peggy and Ketsy are talking with her, and don't miss. That'll be really a fun one to watch. But thank you so much, Teri. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, Jeff. Fun to hang out together.
Get out and water your roof some more. And we'll talk to everyone soon. Be safe.
All right.
Take care.